Hey guys, what is going on? My name is KingAssassinable, and today guys, I've got another awesome Call of Duty Advanced Warfare video for you guys right here on my channel. Today guys, I'm going to be showing you my favourite setup currently within Advanced Warfare. You're seeing gameplay of the weapon here in the background. I apologise for the very laggy like gameplay, but unfortunately at the moment on PC the game is really not running very well on my computer. It's not necessarily because of my computer, it's a lot to do with the fact that they have not optimized the game very well for mid-range PCs. It works well on higher-end PCs, which I don't have, but on mid-range PCs it doesn't work very well. I'm not really going to get into all that now, but I will say in a few months' time I'll be getting a much better PC and I'll be able to bring much better quality gameplay for you guys. So I apologize for the choppy gameplay, but let's go ahead and jump into my setup anyway. So of course, the weapon I'm going to be talking about today is the ASM-1. Now this is an SMG class, which is kind of unusual because at the moment a lot of people are saying that assault rifles are the dominant weapon within Advanced Warfare. And in some cases I'd agree with that. I definitely say the HBR A3 is probably one of, if not the most powerful weapons in the game. But at the same time, I've always just been used to the idea of using SMGs. I've always been better with SMGs, and ultimately I feel more comfortable using SMGs within this game. The two SMGs I've mostly used have been the KF5 and the ASM-1. I actually only recently started using the ASM-1, but I've really been enjoying it. I love the way it plays just like the Tommy gun from Call of Duty World at War. I absolutely love that gun, and this looks and plays pretty much the same as that, so I really like that. But let's go ahead and jump into it. So the first bit is obviously the weapon and the attachments. So as you guys can see, my attachments I have on the weapon are the foregrip and the stock. Now obviously the foregrip is very important for making sure that you don't have too much recoil. You know, make sure you can keep your gun under control. Especially on this game, it's already difficult enough to try and hit people when they're jumping around in the air. So you really don't want to have lots of recoil, which is making you just spray everywhere. So you really want to be able to control it when you're aiming down sights. So obviously that's very important. I have stock on this class because stock is obviously an important attachment to use when you're moving around while aiming down sights, because it allows you to move much faster, so you can kind of weave side to side without getting hit as much, which is obviously a very useful thing to use. I haven't got a secondary on this class because of the way it's worked out with perks and stuff, and also in my personal opinion I don't think the secondaries so far are really that useful. I mean, the default pistol actually isn't too bad. I'd say it is relatively powerful, you can use it, but ultimately I've mostly just been using my primary weapon, and I don't really need a secondary weapon because most of the time I'll die before I run out of ammo, so it's not really a problem. Plus I could just put on scavenger, so secondary is not really an important thing right now. But let's go ahead and move on to the perk section. So as you can see in the perk 1 slot and perk 2, I haven't used two perks, I've only used one. Perk 1 I have overcharge. This is really useful because it allows you, what I really like about it is that you can boost slam into people, which I do quite a lot because I find boost slamming is a really effective move in Advanced Warfare. So whenever you boost slam into someone, this perk will allow it to kind of concuss them, so they'll be kind of frozen a little bit and they'll have difficulty turning around to hit you. So that gives you the chance to then quickly kill them before they have the chance to turn around and stop you. So that's why I have overcharged on. Perk 2, I have peripherals. This is simply because it allows me to see more of the map. I don't like the idea that there's kind of a square map built in. I think having a larger map allows you to see people a lot more easier and hopefully, you know, potentially get over there and kill them much faster than you would with just a small square map. Also, if you can actually kind of use it as like a map hack. If the more you turn, the more the map you can like see to your side, so you can see pretty much exactly where enemies are, which is a really useful thing which you can do with peripherals. So I'd highly suggest using peripherals. Perk 3, I've got toughness on just because, again, you need to be flinching less whenever you get shot. Toughness is pretty much a must-have perk with essentially every single class. No matter what weapon you're using, it's always best to use toughness. It's one of those perks where they shouldn't really need to have it in the game, because it's one of those perks where you're pretty much forced to use it if it's in the game. They still put it in every COD game for some reason, but I really wish they wouldn't, because it generally is just one of those perks where you're forced to use it and it just takes up a slot when it shouldn't have to. And then with perk 3 I actually took out a second perk and put on Blast Suppressor. This is very useful because, in case you guys haven't noticed yet, when you're moving around the map, you actually see people whenever they move with their exo movements. It doesn't show like a normal dot, like exactly where they are, like it does with a UAV or whenever they're shooting. It just shows a kind of circle around where they are. So, you know, you can get spotted very easily whenever you're using exo movements, and obviously in this game, people are using exo movements all the time. So I say Blast Suppressor is a very useful perk because it keeps you off the map when you are using your exo movements, which is obviously very useful. Let's move on to the exo ability and exo launcher now. So for the exo ability, I've gone with exo cloak. As of now, I'm not completely sure on which exo ability I prefer. A lot of people originally, before the game came out, said Sting was going to be the best simply because it gives you a large amount of health, but to be honest, whenever I've used it before, I haven't really been using it much. I've just found there's not really many situations where you can actually use it in a useful situation, so I decided to forget Stim and I went ahead and went with the Exo Cloak ability, which I'd say sometimes is very useful and sometimes isn't so useful. I mean, obviously it doesn't last very long, but you can use it if, say, there's lots of enemies shooting at you and your teammates from a quite far distance away. If you put on the Exo Cloak, then it usually gives you the ability to go ahead and run, jump over there and get behind them without them even noticing you, because of they're focusing on your teammates and they can't really see you very well when you're cloaked. So it gives you the ability to get behind them and kill them, which I think is very useful. In terms of Exo Launcher, I've got the Semtex. It's fairly standard. I just prefer the Semtex over the Frag Grenade because Frag Grenade you have to cook it. I just find it more difficult to aim with. The Semtex is just generally more useful, but I think I might end up switching this out for the Explosive Drone, which is kind of like a Claymore, which I think is really cool. So once I unlock that, I think I'll be switching out for that. And finally, let's go ahead and move on to the score streak section. So first of all, I've gone for the UAV score streak, which you can see is going to cost me 1,050 points, which is an awful lot. I'd say score streaks in this game are a lot more difficult to get if you put customizations on them, but at the same time, they're genuinely more difficult to get because it's difficult to go on high streaks on this game without dying. It is very difficult. So I went with the UAV and the attachments I've got for it. As you can see, I'm trying to think, did I actually get any? I don't think I got any screenshots of the actual thing, but I went ahead and put threat detection on there. I put support and also I put speed on there because support allows me to get it after I die, so my score will still keep going towards it through death, which is obviously very useful, so it means I'll definitely get at least one of these per game. Speed makes it so when it's in the air, it will show the minimap where the enemies are more quickly, so instead of having to wait like 5 seconds in between each sweep, it will do it in like 2.5 seconds instead, so obviously that's very useful. And also threat detection I find is very, very useful because every time it does a sweep, it very quickly shows you a threat detection thing, so you can actually see all the enemies through walls, so you can see if an enemy's just about to come through a wall in front of you, which is obviously very, very useful indeed. It can definitely help you get a few extra kills. Next up, if we go, well, to be honest, the first score streak I actually earned is actually the assault drone, so I should have talked about that first. As you can see, I've got a few attachments for there. One of them, I actually forgot what they do. I think one of the, yeah, the first one's a cloak ability, which means that you can go invisible while using the cloak. Then I have a rocket launcher, and I forgot what the third one is. I'm trying to remember now because I didn't actually screenshot any of the ways I've customized them, unfortunately. But let's go ahead and move on to the care package. So the care package, I've gone for a support again, which is obviously very useful. I've gone for better odds, which means you have a higher chance of getting a higher kill streak. A better kill streak, sorry. And then also I have drone delivery on. This means that when it lands, before it actually hits the ground, it will start following towards where you are. So as soon as it's right next to you, it will then drop on the ground. So this is very useful if you call it in and then die before it actually hits the ground. So then it'll actually follow you to where you respawn, and then you can double tap your F key and it will go ahead and drop on the floor in front of you, and then you can pick it up, which is obviously very useful. That's actually the highest streak I got at the moment because you can see it cost me 1,350 points. But as I have the support thing attached to the support attachment to it, it means I can get one at least every single game, which is obviously really awesome because it means you can get a higher kill streak and obviously get lots of kills with it. But that is my favourite class setup as of now. I'm sure this will change in the future. I might go ahead and make more setups for you guys. Maybe I'll do like a best assault rifle setup video, a best SMG video, and then maybe go through all the sections. I don't know. I kind of like the idea of that. That might be something that I do in the future. But anyway, I really hope you guys have enjoyed. If you have, please sure to leave a like and a comment down below, and I'll see you guys on my next video.